beating. So I'm going to do this really quickly while the countdown is on and while we're all being settled. It's all about timing with this show, of course. Oh, dear me. Okay. Oh. And it will be a live stream in 2020. Right, not entirely sure how today is going to go, considering that we were going to be joined by J.H. Williams III. All set up and all arranged that we're going to start to do a conversation at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, which is now. However, it does appear that either JH has had a bit of a lie-in, which is fine. At the end of the day, we're in that kind of mindset, aren't we, where things just kind of get lost and neglected. Or he's struggling to log on. But I have been trying to contact him, and while for the last couple of weeks or so, we've all been well and good and kind of talking nicely about the situation at hand and getting him on the Hangouts, and it's been a long time coming. As it happens, it does look like maybe he's forgotten, who knows. So we may be having a bit of a shorter, truncated show. But I've still got some stuff we can talk about. And hopefully you can join us. In about a minute's time, we'll dive in. But yeah, fingers crossed, JH will be joining us. He has said that he's not particularly keen on going on camera. It's not something that he's got set up, so it will be audio only, which can be done. But it's just a case of him joining in the session. We've sent him the link. I have sent him the link. And I'll send it to him again just to make sure. But he doesn't seem to be responding to his messages, as in it's not showing that he's read them, which speaks volumes. And we're at that time, aren't we? So, I mean, on the screen there, and I'll bring it up in a second again, the other kind of guest that we have lined up in the very near future. Okay. But it is looking like, for now, at the moment, J.H. Williams III is not joining us just yet. Like I say, up to last night, we were talking about images we're going to show on screen, of which I've managed to get a bunch of them. We're all ready to go with that. We have, I was going to talk about things covered over his career. Going to talk about Batwoman, going to talk about his work with Alan Moore. We're going to dive into all of that, but he doesn't seem to be here yet. You never know. He may show up. He may just be lying in. You never know. When we turned around and said that our show is at 6 p.m., he may be thinking it was 6 p.m. Pacific time, or whichever side of the pond he's currently at. But as it happens, it does look like we are slightly shy of a guest. Bear with us, though. We'll see if we can get him on. I'll keep prompting him, and you never know. Like I say, though, we do have plenty we can talk about. And certainly something that I mentioned in the Periscope, which I did yesterday, 2 days ago. I can waffle on a little bit about what the situation is with San Diego Comic-Con, with the current situation with the California governor. Indeed, we've got ourselves a whole bunch of, we've got a couple of people watching. Hello there, welcome along if you are. I mean, I really should share this on Facebook as well, or at least make the Facebook post. I keep forgetting to do this. Make it public so you can share the video, which I will do very quickly now. So at least then you can spread the word as need be. Don't forget, of course, if you are watching this on Periscope, if you're watching this on Twitch, you can, of course, kind of help us out by providing a little bit of financial support in the terms of super hearts and also donate, because as a mobile DJ, I am not earning anything at the moment. It's slightly awkward that there's no funds coming in. I tweeted out about an hour or so ago, I'm looking at all these creators for comics posts that are currently going by on Twitter, where creators are putting some amazing exclusive content and special prizes out on the internet, and basically allowing them to raise money for an incredible foundation, which is distributing money to bookshops and comic book retailers to help them through this incredibly tough time. Something that we could always talk about. Also, we could get into as well, I know that Dan Berry is watching. I don't know if Dan Berry wants to come on very quickly and join us, because we can also talk about Zenoscope and their virtual Comic Con, which is taking place today. It's going to be happening in a couple of hours' time. Sabine Rich is going to be appearing as a guest on their second virtual Comic Con. It's going to be taking place today from 4 p.m. to 4:30 Eastern. So we're talking about 2-3 hours time. Opening up with to fans for Q&A afterwards. Limited quantities of special exclusives and variant covers that she's worked on as well. Basically, the whole concept of the virtual con is very much, if I do only audio, I could do that for you. You can do that. And what you do is you just don't select a camera, and then you can stick an avatar on, or just stick an avatar on. So tell you what, Dan, I will send you this, and you can join if you need, if you feel the desire. We'll see if he comes on to talk about the various updates that he's been posting up on the convention collective.com. Right, certainly something as well that we can talk about is the San Diego Union Tribute, I keep saying Tribune post, which went up. Cancelled conventions due to coronavirus, costing San Diego $203 million so far. That's what their big notification was. And I could see that we started with a nice, tidy amount of people watching. Thank you very much indeed for jumping in. Obviously, JH has not arrived, so I think they've all decided, okay, well, if he's not here, it's slightly awkward. However, I mean, I can certainly tell you that we do have some special guests that will be joining us over the course of the next couple of weeks. So I can certainly spread the word about those. Let me just bring these up, because we have ourselves at least 4 shows of great guests. The next show is, of course, on Sunday, and it's going to be news on the World Science Convention. Oh, we could invite you as well, Michael, if you would like to come on and talk about that. Yeah, let's make this a little bit more of an open. Let's make this an open door thing, if you want. If you want to direct message me, and I'll give you the link, and you can come and join in. You're more than welcome. I don't know if Dan's kind of struggling at this point, but Karma Savage, I want to see your beautiful face, Dan. So you see, this is where you've got fans. What can you do? Andrew Dickinson, just popping in as cooking, but the California governor is saying no mass meetings until there's a vaccine might mean no San Diego Comic-Con in 2021 as well, or crowds at Major League Baseball, National Football, and National Hockey League. Yes, however, that's something which could, I think that's a little bit premature to look at 2021 as completely wiped out on that regard. So yeah, we're still kind of keeping an idea of what that's all about. Bear with me a second. Like I say, we do have a couple of people that want to jump in and say hi, and we can certainly jump in with them and just let them know, and they can join us, because Yeah, it sounds like Michael's got an interesting story that he wants to talk to us about. If you do want to jump in, let's make this an open house policy. Direct message me, or just message in the comments. Let us know if there's anything you want to talk about, any of your favorite memories of Comic-Cons gone by, things that you feel about the current situation. Do let us know if there's anything that you want to jump in on. Direct message me or jump in on the comments, and we'll do what we can to invite you along. Michael P, I'm going to send you the link in a second, sir. When it loads, there we go. Yes, it doesn't quite work like that, Michael. I just send you an invite link and you jump in yourself. So bear with me a second. This is, I'll just send you that. Hopefully you can join us shortly when it finally works. There we go. Running a bit slow, but who knows? We've got Dan who's joining us. Hello there, Dan. Let's add him to the stream. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Surviving, thank you. Dan doesn't have his camera. He doesn't want to be on screen, which I can understand. This point,
no camera on the PC.
No camera on the PC. I thought it was more a case of it's lockdown. There's piles of clothes all over the place. You're not maintaining yourself. Listen, this is the only tidy corner of this house. Everything else is a bomb site, so it's a bit of a mess. But we've got Michael who's joined us as well. I can add him to the stream as well. But certainly we're going to talk Dan first because you were mentioning there about the virtual cons that are doing the rounds.
Yep. Yeah, I can. Zenoscope also just announced Dawn McTeague today as a special guest for their one. She's
right.
Do you
have a time for that? Because it's all happening today. It's their second one, and it's happening midweek, isn't it? It's happening today.
Oh, yeah. Let me look at the email that they sent out this morning. Artist Q&A. No, tomorrow, 3:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, they sent that email out today, earlier.
So they're cover art. So they're staging it through over days then?
Yeah, it looks like their email said the 15th through the 18th from 12 to 5 Eastern each day.
Gotcha. Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, it's great to see that these virtual conventions are going on. Let me just mute that particular tab because we'll come back to that in a second.
They also announced Keith Garvey.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I mean, I've been paying attention to a number of Facebook groups. Various people being very reticent about having San Diego Comic-Con hosting an online version of the show if they do have to cancel. So we've yet to see exactly how it's going to play out. I mean, what's your take on it? I know that there's various legal ramifications as well, of which I've been trying to get the ins and outs of. In terms of being a non-profit, having to provide some kind of content to allow their agreement with the city to go ahead. It's all kind of very much in the air. I mean, what's your take been on it, Dan?
Well, consider right now the convention center is being used as a makeshift hospital, so I seriously doubt it would be ready, considering how much time it would take to clean it back up. Considering that, yeah, I mean, Los Angeles, they're locked down to the middle of next month, so we're probably not too far behind. Plus, like you said, what the governor said the other day.
Yeah, I totally understand the switch round post Corona, and I totally get any thoughts and opinions in that regard. However, considering that this initiative that's been held at the convention center did take 10 days to get completely up and running, I think a switch around in the opposite direction could happen very, very quickly and very swiftly. So I think that on that regard, I don't think there'll be too much of an issue. The convention center staff are incredibly efficient. They know how to maintain that building and maintain it well. But I think it's just the agreements with the city. I think it's just the way that things will be put into place. And how also they would officiate the badges, which have already been sold. Do they get automatically rolled over to 2021? It's just It's just a nightmare. Michael, what's been your take on it? Because you've been following this very, very closely indeed. You've been looking at all sorts of aspects of it, especially the health aspect and how things are being dealt with and how different states are dealing with the situation. How's your take on how California's handling it, and also what we could be seeing with San Diego Comic-Con?
Can you hear me, Leonard?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I have a delay here. Honestly, I think California is just doing just fine. I mean, the only thing we're waiting for now is for San Diego to give us the official word on it. I think everybody's pretty sure they're going to cancel. The only question is, what are they going to wind up doing? Are we going to get, are we going to get a rollover for the badges? Or are they going to do a full refund? Or are they going to do both? I think that's the only question at this point. And the other question is, when are they going to tell us, right?
Sure. I mean, excuse me, I did spot an interesting comment, which, because of the agreement with the city and because of the way that everything's being officiated so far, I find it interesting that a comment which did stand out to me is that we are at the whim of the politicians. We're waiting on the mayor's office to say something. And without that being said, I don't think CCI will make an official statement. They won't speak out of school, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but you'd think the mayor would have gotten off his behind by now. But now, having said that too, I mean, we don't know all the stuff going on behind the scenes because one of the things you talked about is the fact that they're a nonprofit. The rules behind a nonprofit retaining earnings or retaining money are way more complicated than people give it credit for. And I think Rob, hopefully you can get Rob Salkovitz on it. So I mean, I think he has more knowledge about that. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I think I told you at one point I actually looked at there's a Form 990 that all the nonprofits are, they have to supply, and they have to make it public. And so I was taking a look at their 990, and I looked at some of the retained earnings before. They'd have a lot more retained, so-called what I'm calling retained earnings. It's not really that because they're a nonprofit. So they have to deal with this. They have a lot of issues to deal with.
Sure.
So.
Sorry, I was going to come back to something you pointed out there, and I kind of got a bit distracted by trying to get hold of our guest on. But no, certainly with the way that you're talking about the behind the scenes thing, and that was certainly something I was also going to mention. That you mentioned about Rob Salkowitz and trying to get him on, and I did mention on the Periscope I did 2 days ago that I was going to try and get Rob on the show. The only downside is that Rob is very reticent to come on and talk again out of school until CCI make any kind of official statement. He's keeping a close eye on all of the way these plates are spinning, but he's not one to speculate. And therefore he's not going to come on and do that with us. And I totally understand. Karma Savage, saying CCI is yet to say what they're going to do with WonderCon 2020. I suspect CCI will let its attendees know at the same time. Well, that was due to take place 2 weeks ago. Sorry, the weekend just gone. So they did have a virtual WonderCon, but it's what I think what Karma is talking about is the actual badges that were sold and how they're going to get refunded, if at all, and how that's going to work, considering that there was a bit of small print stating that refunds are not necessarily required to be paid by CCI as it's not covered by the small print. It's under an act of God kind of effort. I'll be curious to see how that goes. I mean, I think the WonderCon online effort was particularly poor. They did a kind of video with Jen Bartel and posted that, and it was not live. It was something that was just a video that was posted, and the actual the virtual vendor store which they did was effectively the vendor page that they would be posting anyway, with links which people would then go and visit, which it seemed incredibly well, half-assed, if you can excuse the language. But I think if they did anything, it would be a lot more organized, and they'll be looking at all the various ways that people are doing conventions online at the moment. HomeCon, using that Twitch platform and doing that as a subscription service, I thought was very impressive. Dan, coming back to you and the online conventions, which has been the one that has been most impressive to you in terms of the way it's laid out, the way it's been put on, and the way it's been applied?
Well, I haven't really done many of them, but the one that Legion M is starting to put together looks like it could be a good one. They actually put out a exhibitor application form the other day, so people, I don't know, I mean, I can forward you that email so you can look at how they're planning on doing it. So it should be interesting, because they had the other virtual cons are just people go to companies' websites. They actually, this one sounds like it's actually going to be hosted by the company that's sponsoring the Legion M Con.
I think also with them, they're also doing they are doing a virtual exhibitor floor, aren't they? Because they're doing something along the lines of, I did quite like the note in there as well that guests can interact with exhibitors and exhibitors can interact with other exhibitors. How that works, I've no idea. But yeah, it's going to be in a virtual space, and then they're going to be doing panels. We're also going to be doing one-on-one panels as well, which would take the place of autograph sessions or photo sessions, which I think is pretty damn cool. They're really going the kind of the all-out route, and I'll be very curious to see how that plays out. Michael, you were mentioning about another show that you said you wanted to very quickly talk about, the World Science Fiction Convention.
Oh, yeah. All right, just real quick. I'm almost, Leonard, I'm going to read almost verbatim what they're saying here because I think it's going to come off better because there's a lot of information. So Con Zealand is pleased to announce a collaboration with the Fantasy Network to bring the 78th WorldCon to an interactive virtual platform, says chairs Norman Cates and Kelly Bueller. From panels and streaming video to informal hangouts and late night networking, the virtual convention aims to provide members with the most fun that they can have at a convention from their home, says Bueller and Cates. Okay.
Yeah.
So
now, I saw that as well, and that's a pretty big effort that they're putting on.
Yeah. What's interesting though is that they're having updated membership rates. So to take part in this, you're going to have to be either what they call an attending member, or or a supporting member. A supporting member. And the dollar amounts are all in New Zealand dollars. I can give you the dollar amounts. I don't know how they translate into pounds or into euros, right, or into dollars. But I can give you the adult attending membership is $300. And they have other ones here, unwaged attending membership, New Zealand residents only. I don't know what unwaged, I don't know what that means. It's 150 New Zealand dollars, right? And then it seems kind of high to me for a virtual something. That's just my thought. Sure. I don't know. What do you think?
The science fiction, the World Science Fiction Convention is very much a show that's attended very much by professionals. It's more of an industry gathering, so it's always incredibly well funded. Is where the Hugos are hosted. So it's something. It is something that I think I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. But I understand the rates. I mean, that $300 in an ideal world, that would be about £200, £210 here in the UK. But in the current exchange rate, you're looking more like $260. Our exchange rate is not great with the way it plays out at the moment. But yeah, it's not cheap. But then again, the content and the way that it would be presented will not be just thrown out there. It's not going to be half-assed. They will be bringing some real quality content to that, and they'll be making it worthwhile. And it will be more professionals attending that particular event. Very quickly, we do have a couple of people are jumping in on the comment, and they're having a little bit of a conversation of their own at this point. Omar Hassa is joining us. I read an article saying an announcement is an announcement from San Diego Comic Con or SDCC, CCI, is coming soon. Now, what they consider soon is a mystery. And Michael did ask what the article is. We are going to cover that in a very. I've got that in a tab. I'm ready to go with it. It's actually the San Diego Union Tribune post that I was mentioning at the beginning of the show. Omaha's saying site called Newsarama, so who knows if it's legit. Newsarama is a big site. They are a legit site, and I would heartily recommend keeping an eye on them for your pop culture news. But they pretty much were quoting the San Diego Tribune article verbatim. So tell you what, let's actually bring that up and let's talk about it. This is the post that was put up, I believe on, I want to say Wednesday last week, Thursday last week. So basically we've had a week to kind of stew over this thing. And it did have a couple of very key, let me just get rid of that, very key comments on here, which was from Tourism Authority CEO Joe Terzi. They are evaluating any financial liability they may have with a cancellation, and once they determine that, they'll make a decision. Based on our knowledge of the event, it'll be very difficult for them to have that event in July. With other events, you could do things to keep people separate. Comic-Con is a whole different animal. It is a massive sea of people. At which point it then mentioned as well that the Tourism Authority pointed out organizers are having to consider cancelling the show and needed assurances from the hotels should the gathering be called off. Any cancellation fees or penalties for this year event be waived as we work through this challenging process. Comic-Con continues to be a loyal partner, an important economic generator, and has been for over 50 years. Yeah, I mean, all of this is very key information, considering that if they do call on that cash, at the end of the day, we're talking a massive influx of revenue that would have been coming into the city, not only for the tourism trade, but for the city infrastructure completely, the way that they maintain schools, the roads, just the way that the city operates. All of that money would have been a massive influx. And if San Diego Comic-Con doesn't go ahead, then all of that cash basically just has to come from somewhere. Whether it would then come from the CCI war chest could make a massive effect on what San Diego Comic-Con can put forward in the future. That being said, CCI has been supported massively by the city of San Diego over the course of the last decade and a half. So I can't see them being thrown completely under the bus in that regard. The hotels, they may have something else to say. Michael, I don't know. I mean, well, okay, Michael, Dan, I don't know if either of you have any comments on this. I mean, the actual post itself, it did get spread left, right, and center, didn't it?
Well, all right, just real quick. CCI can apply for that stimulus money too, because they open up that stimulus money to nonprofits too. So I mean, if they need help there, which honestly I don't think so. With the way they're structured, I would be really surprised, but they can ask for that money. And I mean, they're obviously eligible for it, so I would assume that they would request that money. And in fact, that may be one of the things that they're working on behind the scenes too, because there's been an issue with that money being flowing out, and so maybe they wanted to make sure that they could get that money to come in first too. And there've been issues with the banks, etc. So sure. I don't know.
Sure. Comic-Con said Thursday is still weighing its options and hopes to make an announcement soon. Like I say, I still think this is completely reliant on the city itself. It's also exploring the possibility of now. It's that quote which got jumped on by Newsarama, by Bleeding Cool, by every other site going, and Fox News 10. Which I saw the clip of. They went obviously a little bit more alarmist with their reporting, but it was a case of they kind of jumped on that the quote. We understand that many stakeholders rely upon our conventions as a major portion of their yearly income and livelihood, but we are truly in uncharted territory. We do not want to disappoint the people who have saved, planned, and are looking forward to the show this summer, but the primary concern, what is chief amongst all of our concerns, is the health and safety, not only of our attendees, but the public as well. I mean, Michael, Dan, you're both, I believe you're both San Diego residents. At which point I have to ask, I mean, we are going to be having on Sunday, we're going to be having Gil Cabrera, for the former chair for the San Diego Convention Center. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, checking in on him, seeing how he's doing. And he was basically saying that the city and indeed the state of California is taking this seriously, and they're doing everything they can to flatten the curve and do their part. How is the city, from your two perspectives, in terms of its mood? How is San Diego bearing up at this point?
Well, they just announced yesterday that the San Diego County Fair, formerly Del Mar Fair, is being canceled until next year, and that runs until early July. So that was a big. So that doesn't bode well for Comic-Con. Yeah, the city. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are taking all the warnings in the heat and going out in public. If they do, wearing masks. I've gone to a grocery store on the corner of my house. People there are always wearing masks. So.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm in Colorado Springs.
And Michael, yourself?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually in Colorado Springs, and so here, Denver Pop Culture Con was supposed to be over the 4th of July weekend, and they've already moved theirs to Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, so they've already done that, and so and the same as with Dan. You have some people wearing masks, some people not wearing masks. But for the most part, you can just people are just staying in. You see people out walking their dogs and riding bicycles with their kids, but which you didn't used to see very much before, but now they're all home and they have plenty of time. So in that sense, it's really good, and the air is really clean too. Dan, have you noticed that the air is a lot cleaner now too?
Dan?
Sorry, I had been mute. I haven't gone out enough to notice.
Good man. Good man. Well done. Yeah, I think I've seen. I think we've all seen the pictures of the landscape of the. Let me just remove that. The landscape of Los Angeles, where the smog's vanished. People are just it's seeing a definite change in the way that the environment is, and yeah, it's certainly an interesting perspective on how it's all gone ahead. I think we'll make this a shorter show. We were hoping that J.H. Williams III was going to join us. I'll try and message him again and see if we can arrange it for a later date. But it's just a shame that that's not happening. When it comes to the virtual cons, I mean, Dan, you've been keeping a track on them for the Convention Collective, but is there any of the virtual cons that you can see yourself taking part in?
The Legion M1.
Yeah.
And the Zenoscope one, some of the guests they've announced sound pretty interesting, so I may hit some of those panels or whatnot up.
I'm hoping that I can get some kind of behind the scenes of Legion M. I'd like to find out exactly what they're up to. But yeah, I'll be curious. I think I'll be attending some of the content, especially the online, the virtual space element of it, just to see how they're pulling it off. Because for myself, and I put this out on a couple of Facebook groups, and I made this part of my own statement the other day, I do believe that if San Diego Comic-Con does go ahead, it will be done in a virtual space. They'll be looking at all the various elements of how other shows are doing it, and I think they'll be hosting it from the museum. That was their intention when they launched the museum. It's whether how much of the infrastructure technically is in place, whether they can actually do full broadcast quality streams from there and make it look good. It's just a shame that there isn't a Comic-Con online channel still up and running.
I wonder what happened to that.
What happened to that, eh? Let's be all nice and snarky about that. But there we go. Aaron Neighbors is saying that the air does smell better in San Diego. So there you go. Oh, that's great to have. It's at times. But there we go. Michael P. What he was doing when he swung his camera around the beautiful weather outside in Colorado Springs. So there we go. Andrew English is just having a conversation on the chat. I was off 2 weeks with stress, and I was fine with being confined. But my manager was the same with climbing the walls. But Into the Blue Mister is saying, I know exactly what you mean. I'm shut in with 10,000 comic books. Epic. So I think there's that conversation about what you can actually get up to while you're kind of stuck indoors. What are you guys up to at the moment? How are you kind of keeping your time filled? Michael?
No, just real quick before you,
Sure.
it turns out that I might actually be a panel member on the for the World Science Fiction Convention. So,
oh wow,
yeah, they're supposed to get back to me on this one. So I want to follow up with you guys later on to tell you how they're going to do it, because they actually have to tell us first, I hope, so that we can,
that will be interesting. Yeah, I'll be very curious to see how they do that. Cool. Okay, so yeah, how are you filling your time? What are you doing while you're locked down?
Oh, me? Oh my God. I'm trying to get caught up on all the stuff that's happening here. What I didn't tell you is my basement flooded, so I'm dealing with a flooded basement. Okay, so that's massive time for me.
Yeah, that's going to keep you occupied. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Damn. Okay. So sorry about that, man. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I mean, I hope that situation resolves itself. That's terrible. Andrew English, Michael is repeat watching Expanse. That's what you're doing. You're just watching Expanse on repeat.
Constantly. You know what? I actually haven't done it yet. You can't. I know you don't believe me, but I actually haven't done it yet.
There's time. There's time. Dan, how are you occupying your time?
I actually am still working.
Ah, right. Okay.
My company was work from home before, so this is no real change.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so just working and then doing stuff for the Convention Collective.
Excellent. Well, you're keeping yourself incredibly busy. Into the Blue Mister. It's my 50th birthday on Friday. I'm going to spend the entire day walking around in a dressing gown, wearing a Stormtrooper helmet, and eating cake. Happy birthday to you, Into the Blue Mister. Yes, congratulations. 50th. Not the year to celebrate it, obviously, but hopefully you're able to celebrate in some kind of style due to the circumstances. So all the best to you, sir. And Sarita P is joining us. Hello, Sarita. Welcome along. Like I say, if you have just joined us, I know that one or two we were going to be having a conversation with J.H. Williams III. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have happened, and we'll do our best to bring that interview further down the line. But say what, we'll let you guys get off and enjoy the rest of your day. Michael, Dan, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I am quite liking the photos in the background, Michael. That the frame prints, liking those.
The Expanse stuff, that's
looking good. But there we go. Right, okay, but no, we'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to do the Crowdfunder Spotlight and also the Artist of the Day. Yeah, Dan, I've chosen one of yours, sir.
Awesome.
So there we go. Okay, guys, we'll let you get off. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Adios.
You as well.
Excellent stuff. Take care. Look after yourselves. So there you go. That's Michael and Dan giving us a little bit of a perspective, certainly from the California side, of how the city of San Diego are dealing with the situation and what we could expect from CCI. That whole article is something that really did stir up a hornet's nest. It was something which really got people's attention, especially with those quotes regarding what the city could be doing and what also San Diego could be doing. It is that section there, still weighing its options, hoping to make an announcement soon. I personally think if and when it happens, it's going to happen much sooner than later. I've been fully expecting something this week, actually. I've been thinking it's going to be happening, but this week. But there we go. Right. We're taking this to twice weekly, as you know. So we're doing this on Wednesdays and Sundays, but we are going to be back on Sunday with a bit of a full show. We do have these guests that are ready to go. They are looking forward to joining us. So I'm very much looking forward to bringing on two great guests. We are going to be having Gil Cabrera from the formerly of the chair of the San Diego Convention Center to talk about the relationship between the building and the city, and also the building and San Diego Comic-Con. It's an interesting symbiotic relationship. It's a building that has tried its best to expand and to accommodate this ever-growing convention, and also the other elements of what the city wants to bring to the convention. So interesting to talk to Gil. So that's going to be our first guest on it. And then we're going to be talking to Tony Lee. He's not going to be wanting to talk too much about Showmasters, of which he is part of the organizing of their comic talent, or the comic artist alley at this point. He is wanting to talk about his own comics background. So we're going to be talking to Tony about his favorite convention memories, how the industry is currently looking and shaping up in this current scenario, considering that we are still at this point looking at a very big possibility that we won't be seeing a number of comic book shops opening at the other end of this. We may be seeing a couple of publishers falling. We may be seeing a massive change in how comics are actually delivered, if at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tony has to say. That's going to be on Sunday. Wednesday, the 22nd, next week, we're going to be speaking to super artist, major artist, Paul Jenkins, which I'm very interested to look forward to, considering that Paul was supposed to be a guest on my British Invasion panel in 2016 at San Diego, at which point the internet completely crapped out on me up on the convention center, and I wasn't able to get him and Dave Gibbons to take part. The panel went well, but it'd be great to actually speak to Paul. So it's going to be great to talk to him next week. The Sunday after that, Sunday 26th, going to be speaking to IDW's Chris Ryle. Again, another bit of a San Diego perspective. IDW is where they call their home base, but also that great perspective on the bigger publishers and how they're dealing with the whole scenario. So looking forward to talking to Chris. And then on Wednesday, 29th of April, we're going to be talking to Billy Tukey, who is an incredible artist. Going to be interesting talking to him because of his history of crowdfunding, his history within the industry as well, and various other aspects as well. I'll try not to make it too conscientious. I don't think it will do, but I'm looking forward to talking to Billy. That's been a long time coming, so it's great to get him on. He's going to be on Wednesday, 29th of April. That's going to be our special guest. Right. Like I say, taking this twice weekly, and each and every episode we are doing our best to do two things: a crowdfunding spotlight, and also we're going to be doing something in terms of artists of the day, artists of the episode, our cup of tea, as it were. And I do have my cup of tea to hand. So we'll dive straight in with our crowdfunding spotlight. This is something that was brought to my attention by Dan Berry, and I am very much impressed by this effort. This is, let me just get rid of that. This is a Kickstarter called Palomino, being run by Stephen Franks, under the Dark Planet Comics banner. And it's a very, very impressive kind of noir crowdfunder. Now, the crowdfunding that we've kind of showcased up to now, we have, at the end of the day, they've had goals and they've been exceeded. So we're into the stretch goals element of the whole thing. However, with 27 days to go, the original goal was £9,517. So I think it's around $1,200. It's 62% of its goal, and it's just about reaching £6,000 at the moment. A neo-noir graphic novel set in LA's country music clubs. It's a fascinating project. Let me just give you the general aspect of it. The year is 1981. The American century is running on fumes, but the end isn't anywhere in sight. The cowboy is still America's most central symbol, and from movies, music to President himself, it all hails from Southern California. The age of urban cowboys is still in full swing. Cowboy hats and rhinestone suits are all the rage. Kenny Rogers, Lady, is Billboard's #3 song of the year. Dolly Parton is a national icon. And across LA, 6 nights a week, working musicians, TV actors, stuntmen, cops, hustlers, and broken souls all play their part in the cultural myth making. Most of them are just trying to survive on the B side of the City of Angels. That sounds really appealing. I'm always taken by a noir kind of story. So it's always the kind of thing that will tickle my fancy. But this kind of like takes that element of the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, strips away the dark humor, and goes straight for the crime aspect of it all. It looks incredible. The artwork's incredibly well detailed, and like I say, it's got this real kind of depth and texture to it. Great facial spaces. If anything, I'm very much reminded of Stumptown, but it also has some interesting parallels. And I'm gonna have to bring up his name because I've completely forgotten who did it. Bear with me a second. You're going to shout at me. You're just going to turn around and say, "Okay, you guys need to, Leonard, you need to just refund your nerd card." Tim Sale. Tim Sale was the artist I'm thinking of. Very much that kind of style of artwork. It's very scratchy. It's got a lot of negative space, a lot of dark colors, but real deep shadows, and it really focuses on the characters on screen. I think it looks incredible. Aaron Neighbors, Stephen Frank is one of my favorite creators. His previous noir vampire graphic novel Silver was incredible. If we ever get back to attending cons, please make sure to check out his panels. Thank you very much indeed, Aaron. And indeed, Michael P saying, I like the artwork. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Let me just bring up another panel as well. I mean, there you go. That's when I say Tim Sale, that's the kind of thing I mean. I mean, look at it. It's this really deep, rich. I think I'm also kind of sold as well on the way that the lettering's been done. That's very Tim Sale like as well. So very that long Halloween kind of setup. Yeah, I think it just looks incredible, and I'm very much up for this particular project. Let me see if I can just bring you this into the tab. Like I say, it's available on Kickstarter at the moment, so you can find it at the moment live. If I can just bring it up to the top there, like you say, it's £6,079 of that 9,517 goal. It's 64% there. So with 27 days ago, I think it's going to clear it. That's not a problem at all, especially considering that you do have all of these great bundles that are available. You have the digital comics of the titles from Dark Planet Comics so far, including that aforementioned Silver, volumes 1 to 4. You've got art prints, you've got hardcover books, you've got art tiers at $45, jumbo art at $75, all the way up to the $200 tier, with you getting a cameo appearance in Palomino Volume 2. And again, here you've got this great artwork that's been showcased, and some behind-the-scenes photos as well. So very much a case of Stephen giving you an idea of that vibe that he's definitely wanting to bring to the whole project. I think it looks amazing. Do check it out. I think it's well worth possibly throwing some money into this particular project because it looks fantastic. That is Stephen Frank's Palomino, which is a project live as we speak, and you can find it at kickstarter.com/projects Dark Planet Comics Stephen-Franks-Palomino. Aaron Neighbors, as the animation supervisor of the Iron Giant and other projects, Stephen Frank used a lot of his cinematic talent for this sequential art and makes it very unique. Absolutely. I think it very much holds up in that design regard. Looks amazing. Andrew English also reminds us that Stumptown Season 1 premieres Wednesday, 29th of April 2020 on Alibi. That's here in the UK. If you think I've been waiting or waiting for a UK screening of that particular show, congratulations, you don't know me at all. I've been watching Stumptown, and it is a fantastic show, well worth checking out. Right, so that's our crowdfunding spotlight. Let's dive straight into our cup of tea artist. And this is an artist that was suggested by Aaron Neighbors. So thank you very much indeed for Aaron for bringing this to my attention. This is an artist who is doing some great work online. What I want to do with this particular feature are those people that are posting stuff to Instagram, posting stuff to Facebook, posting stuff to Twitter, basically entertaining and showing up some amazing artwork, either work in progress, so behind the scenes kind of videos that they're doing of their artwork. They're doing all sorts of bits and pieces online. There's all of these great creators, especially in current lockdown, sharing their artwork with us while we're kind of like finding ourselves footloose and fancy free, which is where this brilliant artist has been brought to my attention. Thank you very much indeed to Aaron for sharing Bastien El Delham. Currently on Twitter at twitter.com/Deham. Or Dehame. I'm not entirely sure how you correctly pronounce it, but this this really did catch my attention because this is just beautiful stuff. Let me just take that banner off so it really does focus on what we're talking about here. Absolutely glorious. It kind of this is the kind of thing that it always gets my attention. It's something that let me just we'll turn that one off. There we go. That kind of rich paintwork. It's beautifully rendered and very evocative. I'm just absolutely blown away. Thank you so much indeed, Aaron, for bringing this, like I say, to my attention, because it is just absolutely stunning stuff. There's some real depth and there's so much detail just going off in every single corner of the palette of the page, which Bastien's doing. Just absolutely glorious stuff. I've got a couple of example pieces here which we're going to bring up, but like I say, all of these artists which we showcase on this particular feature, they are just putting their artwork up on Instagram, on Twitter. This is mostly on Twitter at the moment, and it also came off as part of the creator. There was a hashtag that did the rounds the last couple of days where people were really showing off some amazing work, and Bastien was part of that, putting work like this up, which is just absolute glorious stuff. Very just the depth of texture on that facial piece there. Just absolutely incredible. So thank you very much indeed once again to Aaron for bringing this to our attention. Do go check them out. It is our cup of tea artist of the day of this particular episode. Very much worthwhile checking them out. That's Bastien El Delham, and you can find them on twitter.com/Deham. But this just real kind of, I'm going to say Franzetta kind of vibe, which I'm getting from it. Real kind of classic sort of like fantasy artwork, which is just so gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So thank you very much indeed once again to Aaron for bringing that to our attention. Well worth checking out. That's Bastien El Delham, available and at twitter.com/Deham. We've got some comments. I'm just wondering. Toby is saying hello. Beautiful art. I see Elmore and Brom influences in his work, especially in that horse piece. Yeah, let me just bring that back up again. It's just stunning stuff. And very Ken Kelly too says into the blue, Mister. And I'm so glad that someone agrees with me. Michael P saying yes. Frazetta as well. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is an interesting one as well. Reminiscent of a famous Wild West artist. I'm not too sure which one they're referring to, but I guess they'll have to look into which one they're talking about. H.R. Geiger. Now, the Geiger reference I can certainly see on this piece, and also on the other couple of pieces I put up, and especially on that one as well. Just stunning stuff. So there you go. That is our artist of the day. Our cup of tea artist, Bastien El Delham, available on twitter.com. Do check them out. Excellent stuff indeed. Right then, so it's time for me to say my farewells. Once again, we were supposed to be joined by J.H. Williams III. We'll do our best to find out what happened there. I know that it was only going to be an audio interview, very much like we had with Dan Berry. He didn't want to go on camera. It was just going to be an audio thing, but it happens. We've no idea where he's appeared or disappeared to. If we find him, and if we get a later date, you never know. It may even be tomorrow. It may be over the weekend. It's not Sunday because Gil Cabrera and Tony Lee are going to be our guests this weekend. But if we get the chance to get JH on the show, I want to speak to him and find out exactly how much of a mad wizard he really is. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show for today. I know it's been a little bit haphazard, but we've talked some good stuff and we've shown you some good artwork, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. The next Our Cup of Tea artist is probably going to be a little bit more of a comics bent, so it's very much going to be not so much traditional artwork as we've seen on the pieces we've done the last couple of days, last couple of episodes, more traditional comic artways. A suggestion for the Crowdfunding Spotlight and Our Cup of Tea artist. Drop me a line on social media, either by DM or just publicly blast it to me. Let me know, spread the word, and we will be doing our best to showcase some great talent on the episodes each and every week. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I hate to be gauche, but I really could do with some cash. Any support that you can throw our way on our Patreon page. We did post on Monday the full live album from the Dummel Clicks, their first concert performed in the UK. They did that in 2019. We had a great time recording it, great time attending that show as well. They were very kind enough to let me record it and put it online, which I did for our Patreon supporters for the last 2 weeks. Now, I am a mobile DJ, which means I am not earning a penny at the moment. It's very difficult for self-employed here in the UK as well, because we have to wait for everyone to get their tax returns in by, I believe, this Friday, and then they're going to have to assess about getting any refunds back to self-employed and freelancers, which is incredibly difficult. So any kind of support, any pennies at all that you can throw into the pot is very much appreciated. If you head to patreon.com/Englishman SDCC, I really would heartily appreciate it, because it'll just allow me to, I don't know, buy food. Because at the moment I am eating away at a savings, and slowly but surely, as the situation rolls on, those funds are starting to dwindle. So any help that you can throw our way, and if you are a supporter of the show, if you enjoy what we do, please take care, enjoy the rest of your week. Please try and stay safe, stay indoors, wash your hands, practice social distancing, take part in as many online opportunities as you can. There's plenty of online cons which are doing bits and pieces. HomeCon did theirs, but we've got this virtual con from Zenoscope, and you've also got the Legion M will be coming up very shortly indeed. Jump in, take part in those, because they will shape how conventions will be, I suspect, for the rest of this year. So let's investigate it. Let's see how these shows are going to go ahead, because while we may not be seeing people face to face, we can still be fans, even if it's in a virtual space. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Back again on Sunday. Gil Cabrera and Tony Lee on this Sunday show. Looking forward to it. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.